here today at the Alfa Romeo Museum here in Milan, Italy, the legendary Alfa Romeo Museum, and we are going to explore all the different machines created by Alfa Romeo, starting off with the aeroplanes and motorboats and then onto the cars. But first of all, let's look at the evolution of the Alfa Romeo badge. So let's get into it, and here we go. The first badge of 1910, which includes Milano below, and then 1919, you can see the evolution of the design. 1925, 1945, and you see quite a change in the artwork, gold and red. And then as we move on, we have the badges from 1950, and you will note that there's a change in the artwork again. And then we move on to 1972, and you'll see the Milano has disappeared, it's just Alfa Romeo. And then 2015, different artwork. And then some of the other innovations by Alfa Romeo were aircraft engines, and this took place from the First World War to the Second World War. And these are all the Aero engines that were made by Alfa Romeo at the time. And we also have an aeroplane built and designed by Alfa Romeo. Here we go. And this also did a around the world trip for endurance. Spectacular aeroplane by Alfa Romeo. And then we move across and we have some more Aero engines, and these were created for the Italian Air Force during World War II. And there you can see the improvements in the Aero engines for this period. And this engine was as late as 1952. This particular radial engine, 1937. Okay, and then we have the evolution of the various motor cars by Alfa Romeo, starting in 1910 with the 24 horsepower Alfa Romeo. And then when we go across, we have the 1911 Alfa 15 horsepower Corsa. And you can see the badge, quite different to the latest one. It's got Alfa on the front and then Milano. And then we come across and we have the RL Supersport 1925, and you can see the raw aluminium body, and you'll notice the badge is quite different. It's got two left and right, Alfa Romeo Milano, and you can see the beating on the actual aluminium work. So raw aluminium, and you can actually see the workmanship on the body. And then we move across, and here we have a spectacular convertible. This is the Alfa Romeo GC 1750 Grand Sport 1931. And you can see the badge has changed here, and that was all because of taxes. So most of the rich people were the only ones that could afford these cars, so they registered them in Paris and got a tax relief. So that's why it's called Alfa Romeo Paris. I'm sure the interior has been redone. And then we move across to a beautiful red example, and this is the 8C 2300 Quarter Millimiglia 1932, a spectacular example. And here we have three headlights up front, obviously a bit of a racing methodology in this car. There we go, you can see Alfa Romeo Milano. Really spectacular red. And you can see a little bit of aerodynamics at the back, providing aero over the two spare wheels in the rear. And then we move across and we have also not a coupe, it's actually a four-door 6C 300B 1935. There we go, Alfa Romeo Milano. And then we move across to a 6C 500 Sport 1947. This is a really cool one. Check out how the aerodynamics have improved from the one we just looked at and the few down at the end to these aerodynamics. Just check this out. And the badge is also slightly different. You'll see Alfa Romeo Milano, but in gold. Wheels are green, body's black. Badge down here, I'm not sure what it says. And then we move across to a 1900 Alfa Romeo 1950. And once again you can see now the difference in aero from the one we've just looked at to this one. This is a 1900 in silver. And then we come across to the Superleggera Super Sprint 1900. This is a very well-known and very collectible Alfa Romeo. There we go. And there you can see difference in the badge once again and the beautiful red. And there you can see the Superleggera badge on the bonnet and on the other side. There we go. Real spectacular car. There we go. And it's a coupe, and there's an interesting badge on the back, and it says Touring Superleggera Milano. And then we move across to some of the four-door models, and this is a Giulietta 1955. I don't think this is the original color, but a spectacular color at that. And then we move across to the Super Sprint 2600 Sprint 1962. And then we have the ever so famous Giulia 1962. There we go, and you can see the evolution of that badge, how it's changing. So there we go. And then we move on and we start with the Alfa Romeo on Montreal. In a beautiful Gunston orange. And then we have the Alfa Sud, and this is probably one of the most successful vehicles for Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo Sud 1971. And then we have the Alfetta 1972, and this is with the gearbox in the rear. That was a really revolutionary technology at the time, providing the car far better road holding. And then we have the cars from the 1980s, starting with the Alfa 75 1985. There we go. And you'll notice the badge is just Alfa Romeo, no Milano, so the change is evident there. Then moving on to the Alfa 164 3-litre V6 1987. And then of course the 156 1997. And then of course the 8C Competizione, really a beautiful Alfa Romeo. I made very few of these, 2007. I think these were a limited production. Yes, they were. Just look at the size of those rear tires. There we go. Really a beautifully designed car. There we go. 8C Competizione, and with the quad pipes at the back. Beautiful color, like a metallic red. So there we are. We have the cars for the 1980s, we have the cars of the 1990s, and then we have the cars of the 2000s. And then we move on to see all of the incredible prototypes by Alfa Romeo. And here we have the 1900 C52 Disco Volante 1952, as I said. What an incredible design. Just check out this beautiful aerodynamic vehicle. Just check out that rear end. And then once again, Superleggera. Incredible aerodynamics. And there we go, there's the door, and just check out that interior. And you can see the framework in the chassis. And then moving across, we have the 2000 Sportiva of 1954. This being a coupe. And you can see how different that badge is. Alfa Romeo Milano, but it's in silver and black. Sportiva. So the front badge is different to the rear badge. This is a colored badge with Milano on it, and then the badge on the rear is in black and white. And then we move on to the Giulia Sprint Speciale 1965, also a coupe, but an incredible body design. Wow, look at that. No badge on the back, I notice. You can see the badge down here. What does it say? Okay, Alfa Romeo Torino. So this was a Patone design body. There you can see the Patone badge. Then we move on to something very special. Corrabo 1968, this incredible Alfa Romeo, a revolutionary concept design, designed by Marcello Gandini. There you can see the Patone badge. Just check out the rear end. Quad exhausts, but you can see lots of Lamborghini Countach handwriting in this particular example. And then we move over to an Ital design, Iguna designer Giugiaro, another Alfa Romeo. And just check out that paintwork. It's a very aggressive metallic silver. Wow. Another stunning example. And then I can see the Lamborghini Huracan handwriting in this, and this was a 1969 model. And you can see the seat belt in there, an innovative seat belt design, which was a waistcoat holding you in your seat instead of having a boring seat belt. And there you can see the engine. Wow, what an incredible design. And then check out the badge. This is quite different. Iguna in a very creative design, and then of course the quad exhausts with the gearbox exposed at the back. And then we move over to the 33 2 Coupe Speciale 1969. Isn't this incredible? Just check out this machine in a lime green 1969. Tiny little Alfa Romeo badge in the center. Stunning vehicle. Wow, pop-up lights. And then cathedral doors. Obviously push that button down and the door pops up. And just check out that engine in the back. You can see all of that. And then of course the Alfa Romeo badge on the back. Twin exhausts, and you can see the back of that gearbox there. But a real incredible design, very futuristic. And then we move across to another incredible Novolo 1996 concept design. I don't think this ever went into production, but what a car. Wow, what a beautiful machine. Interior, typical Alfa Romeo. And just check out this rear end. Also got the quad exhaust. Alfa Romeo Novella. I presume that's the correct pronunciation. And just look at that crease running in the body through the taillight through to the back. Beautiful example. And then we have the Alfa Romeo 4060 horsepower aerodynamica of 1913, and just check out this vehicle, all hand beaten aluminium, and check out those doors. It looks like something from another world. Spectacular. Looks like a spaceship, to be honest. See the hooters left and right, and the steering inside, there we go, and the seating in the interior, and yep, the engine sitting right up front. Beautiful design and incredibly futuristic. That's the front end, engine, steering, audio controls, an incredible example. And here we have some of the Mille Miglia vehicles. This is the 2300 of 1938. And we move across. Another Superleggera in black. The 6C2500 Sport 1939. You can see the technology changing, aerodynamics changing. There we go, you can see the two vehicles next to each other. And then we move on to another Superleggera in a beautiful bronzy color, the 6C2500 Superleggera 1950. Exhaust down below. Just note the change in the aerodynamics. The 2900B Laguna 1938, but just check out this design. Very futuristic. The aerodynamics are incredible. Just look at the stance of this vehicle. Wow. Then we have the Giulia Spider Prototipo 1955. And then the 1600 Spider, which definitely made it to production. We all know this one very well. 1966 model. Moving on, we have a Giulia Sprint of 1954. A Giulia TI 1957. Then we have a Giulia Sprint Speciale in 1957. You can see the evolution of these vehicles, and you can see a stone guard up front for the windscreen. We have the Giulietta SZ, which stands for Zagato. Zagato design body of 1957. There we go. And next to that we have the Giulia TI Super of 1963. And then we have the Giulia TZ of 1963, another Zagato design body. Really a beautiful example. And then we have right next door the GT Junior 1.3 of 1974. And then of course the Giulia Sprint GTA 1965. And then we have the 1600 Junior Zagato 1972. Just check out this example. So there you go, the evolution of those vehicles right through until 1972. Have the original Alfa Romeo Stradale 33 Tipo of 1967. This was the prototype. And there we have those quad pipes at the back. And once again, that badge is changed up on the front. This is a black and white or black and silver badge. In the front, we have a traditional Alfa Romeo Milano badge. And then we have some of the legendary Alfa Romeo racing cars. Tipo 33, 1970 Tipo. There we go. And then we have the 1975 Tipo 33 TT12. And then right next door we have something very similar. You see that badge up front, 1977 Tipo 33C. And then we move across to the 1970 DT Junior. And just check out those rear tires, and then you can see the exhaust on the side. Check that out. And then we have the 1970 GTA. Also those wide wheels on the rear. And then we have something far more modern. Here we go. And it's a 1993 155 V6 T1. Go. And you can see those exhausts on the rear. Really an unusual design. Moving on to the Formula One cars. Here we have an Alfa Romeo Formula One car, which is the Tipo 179F test car. And then the 1977 Bravem Alfa Romeo. There we go. A stunning collection of race cars. So there you go, that was the legendary Alfa Romeo Museum here in Milan, Italy. And if you liked our video, don't forget to give us the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.